Hello everyone, welcome to this video introducing the BharatIDE software. BharatIDE, as the name suggests, is an IDE or an integrated development environment. But BharatIDE is an IDE with a difference. BharatIDE is tailored to help people program in languages where the interface language is not necessarily English. So before I demonstrate some of the features of this software, let me quickly show you how to install this software. I shall go to the Microsoft Store and search for BharatIDE. I see that BharatIDE is a recommended search. I click on install. It's a relatively small software. I'm asked if I wish to install this software on my device. I will say yes. The installation happens in a so-called silent mode, so you really don't have to do much. The store tells me that BharatIDE has been installed on my device. So let me close the store and go to my list of programs. I see that BharatIDE is available under the letter B. To start the software, simply click on BharatIDE. BharatIDE is a software that works at an administrative level. So every time we start this software, we are prompted to confirm our choice. Let's say yes again. Now the software starts with a selection box. The software by default comes installed with packages for the Marathi language. In this case, I shall select the Marathi language so I can demonstrate some of the features of the software and click on OK. Next, the software asks me to select a workspace. I have already created a special folder on my PC called it BharatIDE, and within that folder I have a second folder called workspace. So I shall select the workspace folder, and this starts the software as you can see on my screen. Now the BharatIDE interface is pretty simple. On the left hand side you have a file browser which is linked to the workspace folder that we have just opened. In the middle on top you have an editor window where you can write entire programs, and below the editor window you have a console. Now what separates BharatIDE from other IDEs as mentioned previously is that you can have an interface language of your choice. In this case I'm using Marathi. To give you an example, if I want to run a simple print command in Python, I simply type print hello. Oops, I have a syntax error. So I type print hello and my console replies with hello. I can do this exact same thing in a different language. For example, I have an equivalent function in the Marathi language. Python 3 already supports Unicode names for variables, functions, etc. We have gone a step further in that we have translated the inbuilt functions as well as the keywords and provided a general wrapper around a lot of other libraries so that you can write entire programs in languages other than English. A very interesting feature of this software is that you can use it even if you don't have a keyboard that works in regional languages. I, for example, have a dual language keyboard, so I can type in either English or Marathi. The software, however, supports a so-called transliteration feature. As you can see on the status bar at the bottom of my window, you can see the word Marathi written in Devanagari. This means that my software is currently in a transliteration mode, meaning anything I type will be transliterated to the Devanagari script. I can click on the escape key and change my mode to a regular mode, wherein I can type, for example, k, k, g, or I can switch back to the transliteration mode and the same k, k, g are automatically transliterated to the Devanagari script. What we have also managed to do is that Python objects are known to have their own methods. We have also managed to translate these methods to regional languages. For example, let us declare a simple list, call it year with three members, 1, 2, 3. An inbuilt function would be the length function. For example, I could do len here 3, or I could use the equivalent Marathi function and still get the length of my list. I can either append to my list using a regular interface, or I can use a Marathi equivalent interface so that I can append to my list again. To see what the software or the library supported can do, let us look at a couple of examples. The first example is a very simple program to generate the so-called taxi cab numbers that we know of. So as you can see, the entire program has been written in Marathi. The BharatIDE software takes the necessary steps to convert this program into its Python equivalent and to run this program. So once I run this program, I see that the first taxi cab number is 1729, and the two pairs of integers are 10 and 9, as well as 12 and 1. What BharatIDE also provides is an inbuilt debugger. For example, let us click on the last step where we increment the counter on having found our number. You start the debugger by clicking on the little bug icon next to the gray lamp. Now, I see that my program has halted at this point and it has opened up a second debugging console. On my left, I see all the integer variables with their actual values written in red. Above that, I see two variables which are a dictionary and a list. The values of these variables are not displayed, but I can verify them based on my debug console. For example, I could check the length of one variable. So I know that my list has a length of 2. Another thing I could do is check the length of the number of keys in my dictionary. I have an internal function which gives me the keys from my dictionary. I can see that this list of keys is 55 elements long. I can continue my debug, and I see that the program runs to its end since we had set the breakpoint at the very end of the program, and once again we see the results. BharatIDE also provides a wrapper for the TK inter library that comes bundled with Python. The advantage is that you can write programs which support GUIs. We have a simple game here. The entire file is about 100 lines. I run this game and it opens up in a second window. The game as such is pretty simple. The aim of this game is to click on the red dots as they appear in different places. So I start a new game. The game runs for about 15 seconds and counts the number of times I have successfully managed to click on the red dot. So once I start the game, all I have to do is click on the red dot for the next 15 seconds. So I see that I've managed to click on the red dot for about 18 times. This is a very small demonstration which shows that you can use popular TK inter elements in a language interface other than English. Now, what is another nice feature of the Bharat IDE software is that you can add support for new languages on the go. As I mentioned, Bharat IDE comes installed with the Marathi language as a default. Let us now see how we can add support for maybe another language. I shall go to the folder where the software is installed. In this case, under Program Files, Bharat IDE. I shall click on Bharat IDE. There is a folder called Translate or Xlate. This folder has two additional folders, EN for English and MR for Marathi. These are the ISO 639 codes for the two languages. Now, before I make any changes, I will just close my Bharat IDE window. A good starting point to provide interfaces for a new language is to clone the Marathi language folder, because this is a folder that is most likely to be up to date all the time. So let me just copy this folder and paste it, and I shall change the name of this folder to HI for the Hindi language. HI is the ISO 639 code for the Hindi language. Now let me go into the Hindi language folder. There are a lot of text files which define the interface in different languages. Let me go to the common folder where I can change the built-ins as well as the keywords. One built-in that we could rename in this case is the length function. The Marathi equivalent for length was called Lambi. I will change it for Hindi and I shall call it Lambai. So this is the first change I made. The next change I can make is to the keywords, although we have not seen a lot of keywords. We have just seen the built-in functions so far. But let's do it anyways. Amongst the keywords, let us change the keyword for the for loop. In this case, the Marathi equivalent is called pratyek. For Hindi, we'll just call it har or every. A third place where I would like to make a change is with the inbuilt data types. We just saw something with the dictionaries where we generated the keys for a dictionary, or even simpler, we had lists where we appended. Let us change the equivalent for append. Instead of calling it adhik, I will call it badhaye or extend in this case. Okay, so we have modified our interface ever so slightly so that we can use a couple of Hindi language examples. Let us now go and start BharatIDE again. Now the first change we notice is that when we go to the list of languages, the Hindi language becomes available. So let us select the Hindi language in this case. We are once again asked about the workspace we wish to choose. In this case, let us stay by the workspace that we used for, or better still, make a new folder, call it workspace Hindi, and let us select this folder. So BharatIDE starts again, but this time around we see that it is going to transliterate our English language commands into Hindi, which is not too different from Marathi. What it is doing is essentially converting it to Devanagari. So we have changed built-in functions. Let us, for example, define a new list, call it sir 1 2 3. So the first change we made is that we have renamed the length function. As you can see, the built-in functions are automatically highlighted in a red font, so we know that we have entered the right name. If I were to use the Marathi equivalent in this case, we see that it stays black, meaning that this name is now not a valid built-in function. So let us again see that we can get the length of the list we have just defined. We can also extend it or append it with another value, and we see that our list is extended. We have renamed the internal method for appending a list as badhaye. The last change we made was, if I remember correctly, for keywords. So let us work with the list we have just defined and say har ka ghatak sa. This is the literal translation for x element of y. As you can see in the console that I can have multi-line code. I will just do surplus 1. Okay, oh, it was a mistake. Instead of so plus 1, I had to do go plus 1. So I see that every element is added with 1. So this is a quick demonstration of the BharatIDE software, and what is possible with the Bharat IDE software. You can find more information about the software on our webpage, or you can contact us if you need any help in adding a interface language of your choice. Thank you very much for watching.